In this video, I'm going to react to the best IndyCar moments of 2020 and give my thoughts on yesterday's Indy 500. Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Kabir Considers. This is the place where I react to music, media, sports, anime, anything related to popular culture. I'll watch it with an open mind and give you my 100% honest reaction to it. And if you could please hit that like button early, I'd really appreciate it. So first things first, I want to say a big congratulations to Helio Castroneves on taking his record-tying 4th Indy 500 on the penultimate lap. Crazy. From what I've heard, the win ties him with some absolute legends like AJ Foyt, Rick Mears, and a few other guys. I think it's just 2 or 3 other guys. So you just know for a fact that, you know, that win yesterday meant a hell of a lot to him. It was quite the story because I think this was the first Indy 500 that Helio didn't race for Team Penske. So, you know, I imagine there must have been quite a lot of turmoil going into this race. He was probably feeling a bit sort of out of his element, you know, racing for a different team. But, you know, it just shows what's possible when you just put your mind to something and work towards a goal. A great moment after the race was when he emerged from his cockpit and you could just see the pure like jubilation in his face. He was just so happy, like he was running, like anybody who crossed his path he was giving a massive bear hug to. Just pure happiness from him. It was a great performance from Helio. I would say he and about 2 other guys in the second half of the race were definitely the fastest on the field. It was he, Palau, and one other guy. And coming up until the last sort of 3 laps, they were sort of neck and neck until Helio was able to kind of just you know, take the lead going into the last corner, where I think Palau had to kind of back off, and that allowed Helio to take the win. It's funny because with Helio taking the win yesterday and Mickelson becoming the oldest major winner in golf, and obviously Tom Brady winning the Super Bowl, it's almost like the older guys are dominating the younger guys. So I'm pretty sure for the older guys out there, this was almost a win for you as well. But yeah, big congratulations to Helio. Great race. Now this is going to be a lot of fun. I don't know why it's taken me quite a long time to get back to reacting to IndyCar. Maybe it's just because I'm just pretty much swamped in so many different sports that I'm reacting to. But IndyCar is probably the most similar racing format to Formula 1 outside of the sort of feeder divisions being Formula 2, Formula E, etc. The guys are really talented. From what I learned, what I've learned so far, I think IndyCar has the same, they each get the same car, or that they have like really similar cars to everyone else on the grid. They're not allowed to make any modifications, and I quite like this because it really ensures fairness and competition. You know, if you've got one guy on the field who's got the by far most dominant car, it kind of makes it difficult for the other guys on the grid to be able to beat him in any races. So I really like that about IndyCar. You know, the guys really go neck and neck. They really push the cars to the limit. There's no sort of like taking care of the car. These guys, they race to win all the time. So yeah, this video is going to be a lot of fun to react to. So let's go. This is going to be me reacting to the top 10 moments of IndyCar 2020. Let's do it.
Now, I'm not breaking any news by telling you that 2020 has been one heck of a wacky year, especially in the NTT IndyCar series, one of the wackiest on record, if you can believe that. But this top 10 list is only just one opinion.
Oh my God.
These are my top 10 moments of the 2020 season, and there are good and bad things in here. This is not sugar-coated. But certainly, I want to hear from you. Let me know down in the comment section below what you think were the top 10 moments of the 2020 season. What did I get right? What did I get wrong? So, without any further ado, let's get into the top.
How was that guy driving with one of his wheels on fire? Like, surely.
Top 10 moments of the 2020 IndyCar season. Number 10. Andretti on the pole.
This must have been his first pole, I imagine, or something like that. Maybe his final pole.
Not since 1987 had an Andretti led the Indianapolis
Oh, Team Andretti. Got you.
Indianapolis 500 to the green flag. But that all changed this year when Marco Andretti pulled out a shocking pole position.
Wow.
And while this probably wouldn't have been as significant in a regular year, it certainly was significant in this particular year where the Indy 500 definitely had an air of demoralization around it.
Was this because of obviously what's going on in the world? I don't want to say the word, but you guys know what I mean. I imagine that's probably what.
The fact that Marco Andretti was a feel-good story on the pole position for this race made it onto this list. And because it's a Marco moment, it's always going to be controversial. But I think there's one thing that's worth saying here about Marco Andretti's pole position, and it is this. This is one thing that Marco has done that, while his grandfather has done, his father had not. And Michael Andretti, his team owner and father, of course, is one of the drivers that many consider the greatest driver to never win the Indianapolis 500.
Wow.
Well, he may also have been one of the greatest drivers to never win a pole position, and his son, Marco Andretti, has accomplished that feat, at
Fair
least.
play. You just know that like his dad was so happy for his son to have got that.
Number 9, no attack, no chance.
Whoa! Hold on, both of you!
Clear.
Are you kidding me?
Takuma Sato may have saved what was an incredibly not so memorable
God.
doubleheader at Gateway this year with an incredible outside pass on Patricio O'Ward for second place in race 1 of the Gateway doubleheader.
Lovely pass.
It's yet another example of Takuma Sato.
He even took the wide angle as well. He didn't go inside. So his car must have just been like, how did he get that speed advantage? Because surely if he accelerated, he's got the inside. So he should have, come out ahead.
Sato's incredible legacy that he's building in INDYCAR that some people like and some people hate. There's no doubt about it. No attack, no chance.
Man,
now,
wow.
oftentimes, or perhaps some people would say more often than not, it ends with Sato or somebody he's trying to pass in the wall. But the no attack, no chance philosophy does lead to spectacular moments like this.
And that's what you want, surely, as a racing fan. Like, anybody who complains about that, I just feel like, what do you want to watch? Are you trying to watch racing or are you trying to watch a parade?
And it certainly was, perhaps, the most spectacular pass of the 2020 season. Number 8, Air Chungus.
On the outside. Oh, huge crash in the back.
Certainly the most spectacular crash of the 2020 season occurred on an aborted restart at Iowa Speedway, involving Colton Herta and Rinus VeeKay. Herta getting launched into the air, catching the catch fence very briefly, and then landing, thankfully, right side.
This car looks like it's 6 feet in the air, at least. At least.
Up. Now, while crashes like this are incredibly spectacular to look at, the thing that I really want to point out in this incident was the safety of both drivers and the fact that both drivers were able to walk away from this unscathed.
That's amazing. That's a real testament to the safety mechanisms and the engineers, more importantly. Well done, guys.
Certainly the fact that Herta's car didn't get very far into the catch fence is a testament to the construction of not only the car, but also of Iowa Speedway with their unique system of fencing and safer barriers, allowing Herta's car to get airborne but not get caught up in that fence. But perhaps most importantly from a 2020 perspective, the fact that Rinus VeeKay's aero screen potentially protected him from Herta's car getting into the cockpit of VeeKay's car when Herta's car passed over. The damage was evident on VeeKay's chassis. Certainly something that was scoffed at the beginning of the season by many traditionalists, but I think in this instance, the aero screen...
It paid its dues, you see. Sometimes, there is a method to, or there is sense in making changes.
Proved effective. Number 7. Last to first.
What?
Last to first.
Wow.
God, it's such a shame that Iowa Speedway isn't on the calendar anymore. Another highlight moment of this year was certainly the spectacular drive of Simon Pagenaud going from last to first.
You would never, ever, ever see that in Formula One. Like, which annoys me because it's like, that's the kind of story that, you know, just lives through the ages, you know. Who goes in a race at the back of the grid and manages to win? It just never happens. I couldn't tell you when last it happened. Maybe Ayrton Senna or someone like that.
And winning at Iowa Speedway. This is something that does not happen very often in IndyCar racing, or really racing in general.
Exactly.
It's very difficult, especially in such a competitive series, to go from the back to the front and stay there at the end of the race. But Simon Pagenaud, in a relatively quiet season for the Frenchman, the defending Indy 500 winner going into this year, this was certainly a highlight for Pagenaud, and really,
no doubt,
we should be talking about this a lot more because it doesn't happen very often. Number 6, a sign of things to come.
Ericsson go inside. Roll. Bang, bang.
It's amazing that Pato O'Ward did not score a victory in the 2020 season. He was very close on several occasions, perhaps none more close than the race at Road America, which he dominated. Looked like he was set for a certain victory, but a poor choice of tires by his crew on the last
these guys are literally bumper to bumper right here.
Stop allowed Felix Rosenqvist of Chip Ganassi Racing, who at that point was also winless, to not only close but pass O'Ward and go on to his first win. Now, for 2021 and looking to the future, these two
that is a great looking car. I love everything about this. Look at the color scheme. This sort of like ocean blue and the black. That is beautiful. So is this the McLaren? Let me know, guys. Is this the McLaren car, or what team does this car race for?
drivers will be teammates at McLaren next year. And while it seems like they're fairly cordial in their relationship right now, if you start thinking about if these two begin to become regular contenders for race wins and potentially championships, this may be a relationship that deteriorates very fast with two competitive alpha males at McLaren. Number 5, the GOAT.
Scott Dixon is a 6-time INDYCAR champion.
Wow.
Yeah, it wouldn't be 2020 without mentioning Scott Dixon's incredible year. 4 wins on the season, including the first 3 in a row, plus the IndyCar championship.
Wow.
The only reason this isn't higher on the list is because of a late season collapse, which allowed Joseph Newgarden to claw within the final race of St. Petersburg with a chance to win the title. However, the facts remain the same, and Scott Dixon is only 2 wins away from ousting Mario Andretti on the second all-time wins list. And even perhaps more impressive, he's only 1 championship away from tying A.J. Foyt for the most all-time at 7 championships.
Ooh, very close to glory.
Scott Dixon is truly this generation's greatest driver. We really need to appreciate him while he's here. Number 4, the shutdown. Certainly, this is one that affected absolutely everyone in the world, and certainly wasn't something that IndyCar had a lot of control over. However, their reaction to it was something that they had control over. Some bad things certainly happened. Several events getting canceled, including the long-running Long Beach Grand Prix. Thankfully, that event and several others that were canceled for this year.
Just as a side note, it was awesome to see the amount of people at the IndyCar yesterday. There had to be at least, at the Indy 500 I mean, there had to be at least 100,000, I would have to guess, which is probably the biggest crowd gathered at a sporting event since this whole thing started. So that was awesome to see.
Will return next year. However, there were some casualties. Iowa Speedway, which did get 2 events this year, will not return for next year, and Circuit of the Americas becomes a one and done. But I think certainly as someone speaking as someone who was on the ground there in St. Petersburg as things were getting shut down, a lot of the fears that we did have while in the pit lane at St. Petersburg, some of them did happen. There were some negative consequences, but ultimately The way INDYCAR, the new Roger Penske controlled series, handled things was, while it wasn't perfect, I think it was as good as it could have been. I think that all the evidence you need was the fact that St. Petersburg happened as the season finale, and they only had a net loss of 2 cars between the season opener.
The thing is, like, nobody was prepared for this, to my knowledge anyway. So it's like you can't expect any organization to handle it the perfect way, where there's going to be no sort of like ramifications or anything like that. This caught everybody by surprise. So all you can do is your best to try and, you know, abide by the rules set by government and just try and keep your organization going.
And the season finale in a pandemic. And it looks like going into 2021, the car counts will not only stabilize, they'll probably increase for next year. Number 3, the St. Petersburg do-over.
This is more bizarre than the Tiger King.
St. Petersburg turned out to be worth the 8-month wait. A crazy race was put on for the INDYCAR Championship finale. Front row starters Will Power and Alexander Rossi crashed out of the race. Rossi was leading when he
he's
did.
going into the wall.
Other crazy events
man.
involved Colton Herta crashing while in contention, and James Hinchcliffe crashing under yellow, also while in contention to win the race. Throw in some other crazy moments like the pace car running out of fuel and a...
How does that happen? How the heck does the pace car run out of fuel? Surely they gas that thing up every single race. Somebody probably got fired for that.
brief shower, which really screwed up the running order. And oh, by the way, the championship came down to the final couple of laps as Joseph Newgarden did everything he had to do to win the championship, winning the race. However, Scott Dixon managed to hang on to a podium position and took home the title. What a wild way to finish the season, finishing it on a positive note in front of 20,000 rabid INDYCAR fans.
That's what you want. You want the fans there. Like, without the fans, sports just seems so like sterile and boring, you know?
And oh, guess what? We get to do it all over again at the first race of next season in St. Petersburg. A great effort all around by the city, by INDYCAR, and by everybody involved to make a street race happen 2 times in 1 year. Unbelievable effort. Number 2, Sato's second.
Takuma Sato is a 2-time winner of the Indianapolis 500.
Who could have guessed that Takuma Sato would not only be an Indianapolis 500 winner, but would be a 2-time champion?
Is that an IndyCar tradition where like some drivers drink milk? Because I'm pretty sure I've seen guys drink champagne at IndyCar. Like, maybe he doesn't drink alcohol. I see.
But Sato in recent years has established himself as one of the best to do it around the speedway in this era. No greater evidence is needed than outdueling Scott Dixon, who many believed had the best car and certainly was performing at the highest level he has as a driver in some time. Takuma Sato earned the Indianapolis 500 win, despite what you may have heard about red flags and restarts at the end of the race. Sato may keep going for a long time. He just re-signed with Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing. It'll be exciting to see if he can defend his win in the 2021 500. Number
Let's
1.
see. Well, that wasn't meant to be. Yeah, it wasn't meant to be. Maybe next year. Maybe 2022.
No fans at the Indy 500. Unfortunately, because it is 2020, we do have to end on a negative note. And this is something that I think is very significant going forward. Say what you will about 1996 and the damage that it did to the sport, but at the very least, you could still attend the Indianapolis.
What happened in 1996? Let me know. Was there some kind of big crash? Let me know in the comment section.
500. The very fact that the Indy 500 had no fans this year is something...
Did you see him That was a hard collision into the wall.
That we'll have to take a look at going forward. And certainly I think it was understandable, given the pandemic, that was a possibility. But a lot of the theatrics leading up to it, I think, have left a sour taste in many people's mouths. Certainly a big mistake was made by Roger Penske, perhaps his only real major mistake this year, by claiming that there would be fans at the Indy 500 or there would be no race. Now, unfortunately, as things went, the political and the corporate pressure ultimately got to Penske, and he had to reverse that decision. Now, Penske claimed in a recent article to the Indy Star that there are 160,000 seats sold for the 2021 Indy 500. But almost certainly, most of those have been seats that were transferred over from this year's race, and many of those were likely sold pre-pandemic. What will happen in the months going forward?
Well, we know what happened.
Almost certainly there will be yet another huge battle in the media of will they, won't they run the Indy 500 with a full capacity crowd, a half capacity crowd. There will be extreme uncertainty, almost certainly, going forward in 2021 about the Indy 500. And that, for its biggest race and for a lot of things that involve this sport, is one of its biggest draws. There's going to be a lot of question marks potentially for the next 2 years. If this happens another year, if there are no fans, or if at the very least there's a question about it going forward, you've got to wonder about attendance for the biggest race. We've already seen some of the effects. See the Freedom 100 getting canceled.
It's so interesting to because obviously time has passed since this video was made and we kind of know how things unfolded. It's interesting to see how we were thinking back then. This was probably at the height of what was going on, so fear was at its most palpable, so it's interesting just to hear his pessimism and sort of bleak outlook.
This will be one of the major points.
This is ridiculous. I can't believe this. This is just wow. Obviously he's probably going at really high speed, so it's and maybe that brake is malfunctioning too, but it's just amazing how he's literally driving with one of his front tires completely ablaze.
On Penske's record in 2021. Man. Will he be able to not only run the Indy 500 with fans, but what percentage and what will the plan be going forward? This is going to be a big story into 2021. It's not going to be fun, but it's something you guys should prepare for. Now, while our list ended on a negative note, there are some positives, a lot of them, going into the 2021 INDYCAR season. 7-time NASCAR champion Jimmy Johnson will be with Ganassi Racing for the road and street courses, as well as a full season entry with Team Penske for 3-time Supercars champion Scott McLaughlin. Add into that all the INDYCAR stars and potentially a few more coming from various forms of motorsport throughout the year. INDYCAR may be looking a little bit more like the International Race of Champions next year, and personally, I'm all for it. I'm still excited for St. Pete. I'm excited for the 2021 season.
Oh,
again,
man, so
let me know
tight.
what you thought of my top 10 list.
Man, that was awesome. Just really, really interesting, just because, this video was made obviously quite a while ago, maybe about 6 months ago. So things were probably at their worst regarding the, the situation. So not knowing if the Indy 500 2021 would go ahead, imagining if that didn't happen. So that would have been the 2020 INDYCAR, Indy 500 with no fans, potentially the Indy 500 2021 with no fans, which would have been absolutely terrible. It would have just the second season in a row where the biggest INDYCAR race of the year has 0 fan attendance. But luckily that wasn't meant to be. Most of the people who transferred their tickets over from last year's event actually came and attended this year's event, which made it, for me, just so much better. To see people, you know, energized, happy, having fun, just really makes sport worth it. I can't wait till, you know, we can go out and watch sports games again. It's been such a long time that I've been in a big crowd. It's just crazy. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, turn on bell notifications, and keep throwing the recommendations my way. I know I say it all the time, but they genuinely help me out, because if I know you enjoyed watching something, I'll definitely enjoy reacting to it. So like, subscribe, turn on bell notifications, keep throwing the recommendations, and I'll catch you in the next one.